The imperial palace of the immortal clan had perhaps never seen black snow. Wang Lin, his black hair flowing, spoke calmly. He raised his right hand and swept it toward the heavens. The darkness that had blanketed the world suddenly transformed into countless black snowflakes, drifting down across the palace within and without. As the snow fell, it seemed to carry the song of ages. The vast palace began to decay at a speed visible to the naked eye, collapsing into ruin. Yet at that very moment, from within the distant palace, the sole immortal progenitor statue that towered into the heavens radiated golden light. Waves of brilliance spread outward, sweeping across all directions, enveloping the palace beneath a sacred glow. This golden radiance was the palace's strongest formation, unyielding, indestructible. Within the light, atop the head of the immortal progenitor statue, sat a man in white robes. His gaze locked onto Wang Lin from afar. Wang Lin, the man in white, none other than the national master from the investiture ceremony, smiled faintly. He stood and stepped forward. With that single step, the palace shuddered as though layered over with another dimension. When his foot descended, he was already standing upon the roof of the grand hall, 1,000 feet before Wang Lin, his robes fluttering in the wind. I have waited for you far too long. You've finally come. Wang Lin looked up at the national master. Overhead, the battle between the immortal emperor and the twin grand heavenly venerables thundered on, a clash too fierce to be decided quickly. Though victory was uncertain, the twin venerables were strong enough to entangle the immortal emperor, leaving him unable to strike at Wang Lin. Aside from the immortal emperor, only this national master remained in the palace, a figure of unfathomable cultivation. Wang Lin said nothing. Instead, he lifted his right foot and stomped down. The earth quaked with a deafening roar, and the surrounding cultivators instantly retreated. They were not like the Gu clan, who had no sects, only the ancient ancestor temples and the 3 imperial kingdoms, where loyalty to royal power bordered on madness. In the immortal clan, imperial authority was more symbol than substance. True power rested in the hands of the grand heavenly venerables and the great sections. Now, faced with the dread-inspiring Wang Lin, the cultivators scattered without hesitation. With Wang Lin's stomp, the ground collapsed. Cracks spiderwebbed outward from beneath him, tearing the earth like lifted skin, surging violently toward the grand hall where the national master stood. Like raging earth dragons, the fissures roared forward. At that instant, the national master only smiled faintly. Raising his right hand, he swept it forward. All things may return to nothing. As his hand fell, the spreading fissures below the hall sealed shut as though wounds healing, vanishing instantly without a trace. The one I slew on Long Street was not you. Wang Lin's voice was calm as he looked at the national master. The one you slew was me, and yet not me. The national master smiled, clenched his fist, then slowly opened it. In his palm appeared a tiny white figure of light, who immediately knelt before him. You once visited the Great Soul Sect, so you should know this art. Soul evolution art, Tao evolution soul, seemingly alike, yet in truth, utterly different. With another wave of his right hand, the small white figure snapped its head up and soared skyward. In midair, it expanded into human size and charged at Wang Lin. Its speed was immense, merging with heaven and earth, its form blurred. But as it neared, Wang Lin's right hand shot up. Just like on Long Street, he grabbed to his side. Ripples spread as his palm seized the figure and crushed it to pieces. Why? Wang Lin closed his eyes. After a few breaths, he opened them again. Life from the abode realm. You are the first in all of time to walk out from there in the flesh. The abode realm. The immortal clan, the Gu clan, there are countless abode realms. The divine ability to create an abode realm was once unknown. On the immortal firmament continent, none possessed it. Not even the immortal progenitor or ancient ancestors. The ability to forge an abode realm, to create an entire world. This technique is unique to my clan. It was we, following the immortal progenitor, who spread this art, allowing any qualified sect of the immortal firmament to create their own abode realm. Across countless ages, endless abode realms have arisen, fueling my clan with boundless devotional power. Such power has uses for others, but for my clan, it is essential. Whoever absorbs devotional power belonging to us becomes an external member of our clan. Yet once that power runs dry, death is inevitable. Devotional power, it is both poison and sustenance. This truth is no deep secret. Perhaps you already understand. But only you cross the void, not through reincarnation, but with the body you carried from the abode realm. You walked out into this world. This is something that should never have happened. Throughout the entire history of my clan, it has never once occurred. The National Master's eyes gleamed with excitement as he fixed his gaze on Wang Lin. That excitement in his eyes only grew stronger. One could say that you, like my clan, do not belong to this immortal firmament continent, or that you are the creation of my clan's divine arts upon this land. As he spoke, the National Master's right hand formed a seal and swept forward. Instantly, the entire imperial palace twisted, as if replaced by another space. The heavens dissolved, the earth shifted, and even the palace vanished without a trace. Wang Lin clearly sensed that his position had not changed, yet the space itself had. It was obvious that within the palace, someone had once used great divine power to carve out a separate dimension. Though it stood within the immortal emperor's domain, in truth, it was like another world entirely. A vast grand hall unfolded before him, upheld by massive pillars. Upon each pillar burned 9 clusters of ghostly flame, casting the hall in eerie light. Countless pillars, countless flames, and within each cluster of fire, a blurred, closed-eyed face appeared and faded, faint yet haunting. In the distance stood an altar shaped like a mountain. Atop it was the National Master, his body unmoving, as if existing in another plane. That altar itself was the palace's true hall. Directly before the altar lay a vast, blood-red pool. Cross-legged within it sat a man, nether Dao venerable. His eyes were tightly shut, his expression twisted in agony, as though enduring unbearable torment. Veins bulged across his body, and a heavy, ancient sorrow clung to him. Around the altar stood 9 great pillars, each bound with a brown iron chain. The chains stretched together above the altar, suspending someone at their center. That man wore a multicolored robe, his eyes also closed. The 9 chains pierced through his body, leaving him unconscious and still. This man was the madman. When the immortal progenitor came to my clan and designed this palace, he opened this so-called underground palace. Every structure here is tied to the imperial palace itself, the National Master said with a smile to Wang Lin. Wang Lin's gaze fixed upon the unconscious madman. After a moment of silence, he spoke slowly. You and the immortal emperor went to such lengths to lure me here. What is it you want? Do you not desire the power of the immortal progenitor? The National Master asked, strange light flickering in his eyes. The immortal progenitor possessed supreme power. If you agree to one condition, I can help you obtain his cultivation's inheritance. Make you the foremost being on this immortal firmament continent today. Wang Lin's expression remained cold, untouched by the offer. He stared back at the National Master, unmoved. For years the immortal emperor has prepared for the ancestral reversion art. Once completed, it will grant the cultivator the immortal progenitor's cultivation, creating a second immortal progenitor. I can help you gain this power without the immortal emperor ever knowing, the National Master said, licking his lips as he looked at Wang Lin. You qualify for this. You came forth from the abode realm, where you once offered devotional power for my clan. You will not leave the ancestral city. Or rather, you will not leave this palace. Wang Lin suddenly interrupted. His words cut the National Master short, and the man's face shifted at once, eyes sharpening with cold fury as he glared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin met his gaze calmly. After a long silence, the National Master laughed. Yes, the immortal progenitor is strong, unfathomably strong. My clan was forced to submit, offering nearly all of our devotional power. It had to be refined through our bodies before being presented to him. He left seals upon us, passed down through every generation, ensuring we could never leave the ancestral city. Even our words must be cautious. Each immortal emperor holds our lives in his grasp. If any of my clan dared to leave, death was certain. Even the great soul sect's ancestor, a genius of my people, could not escape death after leaving. Thus, we were bound to serve every immortal emperor without fail. but I wish to change this. Now, I finally have the chance to do so. When I first learned you came from the Abode Realm, the Immortal Emperor wished to kill you. But knowing Lin Daozhun's suspicious and ruthless nature, I declared that you were a great danger that must be destroyed. Sure enough, my words planted doubt in him. So when you first arrived among the Immortal clan, he did not strike. Later, your growth surpassed all expectations. Though it startled him, he devised another plan, to use you within the underground palace to complete Nether Dao Venerable. For the ancestral reversion art, his chosen vessel was Nether Dao Venerable. But mine was you, Wang Lin. Jodi is too great a threat to the Immortal Emperor. Within the ancestral city, he dared not act openly, lest Jodi suspect. Thus came the so-called investiture, the massacre on the Long Street. Your descent into slaughter shook him deeply. From there, he used his control over Lin Daofei's memories to lead you here, just as he planned. The reason I longed for you to come to this underground palace is because only here, only when another grand heavenly venerable appears to fight him, can I speak these words without him noticing. The white-robed national master spoke, and immediately after his gaze locked on Wang Lin, he looked at the national master standing on the altar. Within the man's words, truth and falsehood were interwoven, impossible to discern, but one thing Wang Lin could be certain of. This so-called inheritance was by no means a simple matter. I do not know how I should cooperate, for it to be as you claim, gaining the cultivation of the immortal progenitor. Moreover, the immortal progenitor was rumored to have vanished, his life or death unknown. How is this inheritance supposed to be carried out? Wang Lin spoke slowly, his eyes fixed on the national master. This matter is complex, but now the immortal emperor has made meticulous preparations. He has found the immortal clan's foremost prodigy, the Nether Dao Venerable. This man, even without the immortal ancestor bloodline, was able through sheer strength to stand as the foremost candidate for transcendent, heavenly venerable after you. If he were to obtain the immortal ancestor bloodline, his cultivation would skyrocket beyond measure. With his hatred for you, transformed into the obsession of killing and surpassing you, he can forge a powerful will. With that will, his chance of survival expands infinitely. There is a 40% chance he can endure the agony of ancestral reversion and force out all the hidden power in his bloodline, transforming into one possessing the cultivation of an immortal progenitor. At that time, he would become the second-generation immortal progenitor. The immortal emperor has schemed over this Nether Dao Venerable for many years. To this day, I still do not know what method the immortal emperor has prepared, but he is confident he can control the powerful Nether Dao Venerable after his ancestral reversion succeeds. I too have attempted divination, but it is shrouded in obscurity. Still, faint traces reveal it must involve soul seizing or turning him into a puppet. The key to it all lies in that blood pool. The national master pointed toward the pool of water where the Nether Dao Venerable sat cross-legged. This item is nearly impossible to obtain. After countless generations of immortal emperors preparing, only now has it barely met the requirements. It raises the success rate of the ancestral reversion art. If you agree, if you accept my request, then I will personally preside over this inheritance, transferring the cultivation meant for the Nether Dao Venerable onto you. Once you obtain such cultivation, you will immediately become the foremost figure of the immortal clan, surpassing even the grand heavenly venerables. At that time, with just one word, you can save Lin Daofei. The national master's speech quickened, his tone urgent. What is your request? Wang Lin asked calmly, unhurried. I have only one condition. After you obtain the cultivation of the immortal progenitor and become the second-generation immortal progenitor, you must replace the first immortal progenitor in lifting the seal placed upon my clan, granting my people their freedom. The national master's eyes fixed on Wang Lin, strange light gleaming within. When that time comes, my clan will choose to leave the immortal firmament continent and travel beyond the heavens, returning to our homeland. As for you, you will become the foremost of the immortal clan, enjoying endless authority, and revive the glory of the immortal progenitor. If you do not believe me, I can swear an oath. Should I break my word, let my body be utterly annihilated, scattered to ash. As the national master spoke, he raised his right hand, forming a bizarre hand seal. With its appearance, his final words did not remain intangible. They manifested as glowing runes, joining together into a complex totem that floated in midair before vanishing without a trace. This is an oath rune. On this immortal firmament continent, the immortal astral law bears witness. With your cultivation, you should be able to sense the existence and authenticity of this oath rune, the National Master said quickly. Wang Lin remained silent. Moment by moment passed, and for the first time an anxious expression appeared on the National Master's face. Wang Lin, I harbor no malice. Everything I've said is true. You and I have no enmity. I will not harm you. I only wish to win a free future for my people. Even if it is just this once, help me. No one wishes to be a slave their entire life, nor to see their descendants for countless generations enslaved to others. Can you imagine such a life? Have you seen the children of my clan? From the moment they are born, their fate is already sealed. For endless millennia, it has always been this way. We struggle, we long to struggle, we want to shatter these shackles. But my clan has no strength. We cannot resist. Wang Lin, you are the only hope for my people. Help us once, just once. The National Master's words rang with sincerity, his expression heavy with grief carved by the passage of time. Bowing deeply with both fists clasped, he knelt upon the altar before Wang Lin. Yet Wang Lin's expression remained indifferent, untouched. His eyes were merciless. His black hair marked him as one embodying slaughter and destruction. No matter how tragic the plea, it stirred no ripple in his heart. What's more, mere words were never enough to win Wang Lin's trust. He cast a glance at the nether Tao venerable in the pool beneath the altar, watching the man's struggling expression and sensing the madness radiating from his body. Has he lost his mind? His mind was erased by the immortal emperor. What remains is only hatred and the will to kill you, the National Master confirmed. That hatred, in Wang Lin's eyes, did not seem especially deep, but considering the Tao the nether Tao venerable cultivated, Wang Lin understood somewhat. Time passed slowly. The state preceptor waited in bitter silence for a long while. When he saw Wang Lin's cold and indifferent expression, he could not help but sigh deeply. Gritting his teeth, he spoke again. If fellow Taoist Wang is willing, I can offer you all the devotional power gathered from every abode realm across the immortal firmament continent. Should you absorb it, the benefits are immense. Your cultivation, divine abilities, even your lifespan would undergo transformation. Over time, you may reach a realm of void and extinction, a level that stands at the very peak of the universe itself. As he finished, the state preceptor raised his right hand and pressed against his brow. His body trembled violently. From the center of his forehead, a black crystal the size of a clenched fist slowly emerged. It released no light, yet waves of pure and overwhelming devotional power spread outward from it. This is the core of all devotional power offered by the abode realms of the immortal firmament continent. With this in your possession, the entire continent will ceaselessly provide you with devotional power. The immortal progenitor was born from the void, unlike our clan. He cannot absorb it on his own, and so he requires our people to transform it for him. Many others in this world also draw on devotional power, but theirs is impure. Once absorbed, they, too, become seeds that eventually feed our clan. But you are different. You were born within the abode realm of devotional power. For you, no transformation is needed. Your soul and your body can directly refine it. Resolve blazed in the state preceptor's eyes. With a flick of his hand, the black crystal shot toward Wang Lin. When it neared, an unseen barrier stopped it. The crystal floated motionless in the air before Wang Lin. On the altar, the state preceptor suddenly seemed withered. Having drawn the crystal from his body, his figure aged in an instant, resembling a man at the edge of decay. This is the life crystal of my clan. Without it, my remaining time is short. I entrust it to you, hoping you will believe me and grant my clan's children their freedom. Let them leave this place and return home. His voice was weary and ancient. Wang Lin remained silent for a while, then waved his hand across the floating crystal. He collected it, but did not immediately absorb it. Lifting his gaze toward the state preceptor, he gave a faint nod. I do not know the immortal astral oath sigil. I only know the blood oath. With that, Wang Lin raised his right hand, slicing it open. A drop of blood flew forth, infused with his essence. Its aura was dense and overwhelming. If dispersed into mist, it could deceive even those who relied on aura sensing, leaving them unable to distinguish true from false in a short span. If your words are true, I will help you once. His intent fused into the blood, making it shimmer with crystalline light. With a flick of his finger, he sent it toward the state preceptor, where it floated in front of him. The old man's face lit with excitement. He glanced once at the blood, then quickly pointed toward the pool where the nether Tao venerable lay with eyes closed. Thank you, fellow Taoist. Time is short. Please enter this pool. I will cast the spell now. While the immortal emperor is still restrained, and before the nether Tao venerable awakens, I will transfer his inheritance to you. This process will bring pain. It will change your bloodline, causing the immortal progenitor's blood to flow within you. You must not resist. Should you resist, all will be for nothing. Fellow Taoist Wang. His expression was grave, but his eyes shone with deep gratitude. For the second time, he clasped his fists and bowed deeply to Wang Lin. The kindness you have shown, my clan will never forget. On behalf of all clansmen of the immortal firmament continent, I thank you. Wang Lin's expression remained cold as he walked slowly toward the pool. Just as he neared its edge, he suddenly raised his head and looked at the state preceptor's face. The old man still bore gratitude in his eyes, tinged with the weariness of one close to death. As he had said, without the crystal, his days were numbered. Lian Daofei, I want to save him first, Wang Lin said calmly. The state preceptor gave a bitter smile. He looked up at Lian Daofei, bound by 9 chains above, and sighed. Fellow Taoist Wang, I will not deceive you. Those chains were placed by the immortal emperor. I cannot open them. Even if the emperor were locked in combat with the twin grand heavenly venerables, the moment they are touched, he would sense it immediately. I truly cannot undo them. But once you possess the immortal progenitor's power, everything will be solved with ease. Trust me just this once, fellow Taoist. Trust me. I swear on the lives and future of every clansman, we will not betray you. Believe me. His voice was utterly sincere. He had given up his life itself, only to make Wang Lin trust him in this single matter. Wang Lin regarded him for a long moment, then nodded silently. He lifted his foot and stepped into the pool. But as his right foot sank into the blood like water, it trembled ever so slightly. The movement was subtle, and with the ripples on the water masking it, no one could notice. From Wang Lin's right foot, however, a faint aura of slaughter seeped out. The instant it appeared, it shot through the pool water straight toward the nether Tao venerable, whose eyes remained shut in a grimace. In a flash, it burrowed into his body. On the altar, the national master's heart pounded with excitement. Staring at Wang Lin stepping into the pool, he immediately lifted both hands, forming seals, drawing upon the last spark of vitality within him. He was just about to transform it into a secret art, when suddenly, a chilling cold swept across the entire underground palace. The nether Tao venerable in the pool snapped his eyes open. After a brief moment of confusion, a madness as vast as the heavens surged within them. That freezing cold was emanating from his body, and in the very instant his eyes opened, the pool froze over at a speed visible to the naked eye. Throwing his head back, the nether Tao venerable let out a roar. His body rose from the frozen pool, ice cracking loudly beneath him. With a flick, his hair grew at a terrifying pace, lengthening until it exceeded his own height, spreading wildly across the frozen surface. He moved his head slightly, locking his gaze onto Wang Lin with murderous intent blazing. The sudden transformation stunned the national master, but before he could speak, Wang Lin withdrew his right foot in the very instant the nether Tao venerable awoke and the pool froze. His eyes gleamed with cold slaughter as he stepped back, glancing sharply at the national master. You really were deceiving me. This, the national master tried to explain, but the nether Tao venerable's frenzied roar echoed through the underground palace. His body trembled, then like a feral beast, he charged at Wang Lin with a guttural snarl. If you cannot give me a proper explanation, then our deal is void. Wang Lin's expression turned dark, fury in his voice. As the nether Tao venerable rushed at him, Wang Lin raised his right hand and swung it forward. From his body surged forth the aura of slaughter and extinction, coalescing into a black cloud that barreled toward the Nether Dao Venerable. But just as it neared, the Nether Dao Venerable howled, madness burning in his eyes. Raising his left hand, he pointed forward, and 9 strands of azure energy appeared from nothing, circling around his 5 fingers. After spiraling 9 times, they abruptly expanded and shot out, colliding with the black cloud conjured by Wang Lin's divine art. The clash thundered through the chamber. The 9 azure rings erupted with pure fire origin power, each one igniting fiercely, shaking the black cloud. The National Master on the altar stared intently, his eyes narrowing in thought. He immediately guessed this had something to do with Wang Lin, though he wasn't certain. Perhaps Wang Lin's presence had merely provoked the Nether Dao Venerable into awakening prematurely. As he pondered, he raised his right hand, and in his palm a tiny white figure appeared. It was just about to bow and divine the outcome when the Nether Dao Venerable, under the clash of smoke rings and black cloud, was thrown backward, hurtling straight toward the National Master. Wang Lin also retreated, staggering several steps before suddenly raising his head. His eyes flashed with killing intent as he fixed his gaze on the Nether Dao Venerable being flung toward the National Master. Taking a step forward, the black robe around his body exploded into countless strands of black mist, engulfing him until he seemed like a massive cloud of darkness. He charged toward the altar, toward the chained madman above. Kill him, or restrain him, and our deal can still proceed. Wang Lin's voice echoed coldly from within the black mist. At the same time, the blood from his earlier oath, which had floated before the National Master, suddenly detonated. It burst into a thick blood mist that shrouded the altar and enveloped the National Master. The explosion of blood mist created an aura around the National Master identical to Wang Lin's. The aura was so intense that anyone sensing it would find it impossible to distinguish between truth and falsehood. Especially now, Wang Lin's hair was black, his body fully merged into the mist, his presence completely hidden. With this, the maddened, mindless Nether Dao Venerable immediately sensed in that blood mist around the National Master the very aura he hated and wished to destroy. Without the slightest hesitation, mid-flight he shifted his murderous intent, eyes blood red, and charged straight at the National Master with a feral roar. The Nether Dao Venerable's shriek pierced the chamber, interrupting the National Master's divination. Blood mist swirled around him, and he no longer needed to divine. He already knew the answer. Malice flickered in his eyes. With a flash of intent, the small figure in his palm shot forth, instantly enlarging to life size. It raised a finger, pointing straight at the oncoming Nether Dao Venerable. From beginning to end, Wang Lin had never trusted the National Master's words. His conversation earlier had only been a pretense while he searched for a way to save the chained madman. The National Master's power was bizarre and dangerous. If he chose to intervene, it would be nearly impossible for Wang Lin to rescue him. Thus, from the other's words, he first discerned that the Nether Dao Venerable had truly lost all reason. Then, before the man's very eyes, he condensed his own aura into a drop of oath blood. Such a thing he did not fear would arouse suspicion. After all, an oath naturally contained the essence of one's breath. As time passed, and the state preceptor grew increasingly anxious, Wang Lin flicked that blood toward him at the very instant their bargain was struck, leaving no room for hesitation. The state preceptor, unsettled by delay and relieved by Wang Lin's consent, never imagined there could be anything amiss with the drop of blood beside him. He did not pause to divine or calculate. Wang Lin's agreement alone drew away his focus. Quietly, Wang Lin completed every step. When the Nether Dao Venerable was roused by Wang Lin's call, the present scene unfolded. Talk of an immortal progenitor's legacy, of breaking the bindings on the state preceptor's clan, none of it stirred Wang Lin's heart. At this moment, he was the black-haired self, the embodiment of slaughter and destruction. How could he spare a thought for such things? Only one obsession lingered from the instant his white hair turned black: save the madman. His form turned to black mist, sweeping toward the 9 iron chains above the altar, where the state preceptor had been forced into battle with the Nether Dao Venerable. He neared in an instant, mist enveloping the altar, ready to free the madman. when suddenly a boundless golden radiance erupted from the madman's body, identical to the light that had once poured from the immortal progenitor statue in the imperial palace. Within that light surged a force so vast it shook Wang Lin's very soul, a power that not even his slaughter could obliterate. It burst forth from the golden glow, meeting the mist that was Wang Lin. The black fog dissolved over a wide span, then coiled into dark threads, forcing his black-haired figure to the surface. Bathed in gold, Wang Lin's body was wreathed in black qi. At the instant it appeared, a sharp hiss sounded, smoke scattered, and a searing pain lanced through his soul, barring him from drawing closer to the madman. He staggered backward, yet even as he retreated dozens of zhang, his hair swiftly shifted. The black strands vanished, replaced by white. That golden might had forced Wang Lin back from slaughter and destruction to his white-haired true body. Even without darkness, the white-haired Wang Lin was repelled. The light struck his flesh, driving blood from his mouth. His pupils shrank as he withdrew, his gaze toward the madman and the chains around him filled with astonishment. So, this is the power of the immortal ancestor bloodline. But whom did the immortal emperor choose? The Nether Dao Venerable, or his younger brother, Lien Daofei? As Wang Lin recoiled, the state preceptor below pressed a finger to the Nether Dao Venerable's body, sending the latter staggering back. Yet the Nether Dao Venerable threw his head back and roared. Before their eyes, the skin across his frame rotted and sloughed away with alarming speed. Countless wounds opened at once, and golden light streamed from within, pouring through rents and decay alike. Enshrouded in gold, his body erupted with a force no less than that which had just driven Wang Lin's black hair to white. Its emergence shook Wang Lin's earlier judgment. He could no longer tell who bore the immortal emperor's mark, the madman, or the Nether Dao Venerable. Wang Lin, you move the chains, the immortal emperor already knows. He may descend at any time. Join with me, quickly. We must first suppress the Nether Dao Venerable, and I will cast a spell to shift his ancestral reversion power into you. The state preceptor's face was pale. With his crystal gone, his life was running out. Urgency filled his voice, and he no longer cared about Wang Lin's earlier schemes. Golden light blazed from the Nether Dao Venerable's body, yet the corruption did not cease. Instead it worsened in the glow. Flesh fell away, his features twisted with unbearable agony. Madness filled his clouded eyes as he hurled himself toward Wang Lin. He invoked no spell, bore no artifact. The golden radiance itself was the supreme art, the mightiest treasure. As he charged, Wang Lin felt as though a burning sun were crashing down to annihilate him. Expression darkening, he retreated. The soul armor sprang forth, and with both hands forming seals, he unleashed every shred of strength. His left hand summoned remnant night, his right, in palm, finger, and fist, called forth the art of the ancient path without immortals. In that instant, his two strongest techniques burst in full, crashing toward the oncoming Nether Dao Venerable. At the same time, the state preceptor leapt from the altar for the first time. Midair, a white radiance bloomed in his palm. 9 luminous figures appeared, each swelling to human size before merging into 9 immense fingers that shot straight for the Nether Dao Venerable. The rumbling echoes had barely faded when, before Wang Lin could even see the result, an enraged growl roared in his ears. The sound was muffled and resonant, as if it came from beyond the underground palace. Suddenly, the entire structure shook violently. Above, the ceiling of the palace collapsed with a thunderous crash. A massive golden handprint tore through space, ripping apart the void itself, descending directly from the skies above the imperial palace. Supreme profound path, how dare you defy me? That golden handprint carried within it the destructive power of a grand heavenly venerable. As soon as it entered the underground palace, it drew in the golden radiance leaking from Nether Dao Venerable and the madman's bodies. Merging together, its force multiplied countless times. As it fell, the entire palace trembled. The national master's face turned deathly pale. Under the looming pressure of the strike, he let out a sharp scream. Wang Lin, into the pool. He had only enough time to shout this single command before his figure flickered, rushing straight toward the pool below. Wang Lin hesitated briefly, then clenched his teeth and dove into the pool. The instant his body touched the water, the National Master performed some unknown divine art. The pool boiled, twisting into a whirlpool that collapsed in on itself, revealing yet another space beneath the underground palace. The sky there was blood red, the same shade as the blood pool. At that moment, the heavens split open and waves of blood surged. Wang Lin and the National Master plummeted from above, with the golden handprint and the form of the Nether Dao Venerable descending right after them. On the ground below stood 6 strange mountains. One of them was carved entirely into the shape of a colossal head, its ferocious eyes staring skyward. That face unmistakably belonged to the immortal progenitor. A head turned into a mountain. The National Master and Wang Lin moved almost identically, flickering to appear atop another peak. Overhead, the massive golden handprint fell with deafening force, blotting out everything and turning the heavens into a sea of blazing gold. But just as it was about to crash down, the earth of this realm trembled violently. The mountain shaped like the immortal progenitor's head suddenly flared with golden light in its eyes. The falling handprint, as if drawn by some irresistible force, dissolved upon descent, splitting in two. In the blink of an eye, both halves were devoured by the mountain's glowing eyes. The golden handprint vanished completely. From the sky, a distant roar resounded. It was the immortal emperor's voice. Though muffled by countless layers of space, it grew ever clearer, as if the immortal emperor was charging here recklessly. But then, 2 crisp little girl voices rang out, cutting off his fury. The twin grand heavenly venerables had intervened, halting his arrival. Wang Lin, the immortal emperor has been stopped, but he could break through at any moment. We have little time. First, we must subdue the Nether Dao Venerable, quickly. Once he's under control, I'll use my divine art to transfer his legacy into you. The National Master's face was ghostly pale, his breathing ragged, as if already at death's door. His urgent roar carried desperation. Even as he spoke, though the golden handprint had vanished, the figure of the Nether Dao Venerable emerged in the sky. His body was rotting further, chunks of flesh sloughing away to reveal black bones. Yet from within him still radiated a golden light that corroded his very being, driving him into greater agony. He howled in torment. Above, because of the National Master's earlier act of shattering the blood pool, the sky looked like a cracked mirror. Crimson liquid spread through the air, raining down like an endless storm. The blood rained upon the 6 mountains, upon the earth, pooling rapidly as if without end. Bathed in this downpour, the Nether Dao Venerable threw back his head in a roar. Lowering it suddenly, his clouded eyes blazed with slaughter and madness as he locked onto Wang Lin. With a furious howl, he lunged. His speed was so great he became a blur of afterimages, bearing down on the mountain where Wang Lin stood. Wang Lin's pupils contracted sharply. At the very instant the Nether Dao Venerable closed in, he stepped back. With that single step, 99 afterimages of himself appeared. The air thundered as the Nether Dao Venerable, without using any divine art, simply hurled his decayed body straight at the mountain. The ground quaked, the mountain shuddered violently. Any other peak would have crumbled instantly, yet this one only shed countless fragments of rock. Its core remained unbroken. There was not even a deep fissure. 70 of Wang Lin's afterimages shattered under the collision, but the remaining ones fused together at a distance, reforming into his true body. His gaze was calm, but in his eyes gleamed a strange light as he retreated, staring at the mountain. What is this mountain, and what is this place? Wang Lin demanded of the National Master. These are the 9 immortal mountains, the eternal foundation of the immortal clan. They guard the clan, suppress the 72 continent spirits, and ensure that generation after generation, the immortal clan produces immortal emperors, able to inherit the 8 extremes title through the power of their bloodline. This place lies beneath the imperial palace, within the forbidden palace. It is also the true seclusion grounds of the immortal progenitor. The National Master spoke without hesitation. Wang Lin, strike. The National Master's eyes flashed as his body rose from the mountain peak, flying straight toward the Nether Dao Venerable. As he advanced, his right hand lifted and opened, releasing a tiny figure of white light that manifested from his palm. Outside his body, it grew to human size and accompanied him forward. The Nether Dao Venerable smashed into the mountain, shaking it violently. He raised his head with a frenzied roar, ignoring the National Master, and again charged directly at Wang Lin. All things of void exist because of their origin, and so they are. The figure of white light before the National Master stepped forward, vanished in an instant, and reappeared before the Nether Dao Venerable, transforming into a single finger that thrust toward him. As that finger descended, the void around the Nether Dao Venerable rippled violently, like twisting ropes. These ripples bound his body, halting his charge at once. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. The golden light within this Nether Dao Venerable was far too strong. The power contained in it made Wang Lin deeply wary. But seeing the National Master act, he hesitated only briefly before changing direction and rushing at the foe. As he neared, his right hand lifted. Instantly, remnant night unfurled. The earth became an ocean, the sky turned pitch black, and he himself became the rising sun over the sea, releasing 10,000 rays of light. In his hands, this divine art erupted with terrifying force, merging with the light that tore through the darkness, and hurtled toward the bound Nether Dao Venerable. At the same time, the National Master, his face pale, bit through his tongue. With his life burning down like an exhausted lamp, he spat a mouthful of blood. That blood instantly condensed into a blood figure, which raised its head in a savage roar, turning into a crimson shadow that lunged at the Nether Dao Venerable. Wang Lin and the National Master struck together, unleashing mighty divine powers in a joint assault against the Nether Dao Venerable. The Nether Dao Venerable himself was not originally so formidable. Yet the golden light within him was indestructible, capable of replacing all magical arts and treasures, enough to repel anyone from approaching. Like a flame, whether the moth flies into it, or the fire seeks the moth, it will always end in burning. But at the very moment the blood figure and Wang Lin's remnant night closed in, fusing with the darkness surrounding him, the Nether Dao Venerable roared at the heavens. The agony on his face peaked. Most of the flesh on his body had already rotted, and with a violent tremor, his form exploded. This was not mere destruction, it was the separation of flesh and bone. Most of his flesh tore free, bursting outward in all directions with a recoil of destructive force. The blood figure bore the brunt of it. Under the eruption of flesh torn from the Nether Dao Venerable's body, it was struck directly. A deafening crash resounded. The blood figure let out a shrill scream as its body was pierced through by the torrent of flesh. Before it could even approach, it dissipated into nothing. Within that torn flesh resided the power of the immortal progenitor, comparable to any divine art. Wang Lin's expression darkened as he quickly retreated. Under the power of remnant night, much of the onrushing flesh was dissolved. Yet 3 pieces still pierced through the radiance of his technique and struck him, one to his chest, one to his right leg, and one to his left arm. Agonizing pain flared. Each of those places erupted with golden light, as though intent on burning his body to ash. He awoke prematurely. He has not absorbed enough of the immortal ancestor bloodline, which is why this is happening. When all his flesh has fallen, then comes bone collapse. If he endures until that collapse ends, the golden light will reforge his body. At that moment, he will complete the ancestral reversion art. Wang Lin, we must not hold back any longer. Unleash everything. Before he either dies or succeeds in the ancestral reversion art, we must subdue him. Only then can I transfer the immortal progenitor's legacy to you. The National Master's voice trembled with weakness and urgency. His body swayed, both hands raised, as figures of light kept emerging from his palms. Again he bit his tongue, spitting blood with a low growl. His entire frame withered, as if on the verge of death. The blood formed another blood figure. All the surrounding figures of light merged into it, filling it with overwhelming pressure. Its blood-red eyes snapped open, not with savagery, but with calm, and it charged the Nether Dao Venerable. The National Master shuddered, breathing harshly, his face ghastly pale. Around his body, the shadow of death loomed ever closer. Seeing the National Master like this, Wang Lin gritted his teeth and pushed the power of the heavenly ox soul armor to its absolute peak. His hair stirred without wind, and the Tao ancient power within him merged with his cultivation. Stepping forward toward the nether Tao venerable, he unleashed a devastating punch. This strike was Wang Lin's ultimate blow at his current peak. As his fist shot out, 99 phantoms materialized, merging together to form the true body of a heavenly beetle, which thundered toward the nether Tao venerable. The nether Tao venerable's body trembled, skeletal and barely clothed in scraps of flesh. But now, that remaining flesh burst apart again, sweeping outward in all directions, leaving only bare bone. His bones were pitch black, yet within his frame glimmered a fist-sized golden orb radiating endless light. This sphere was the inheritance passed down from the immortal progenitor. As the power of blood and flesh recoiled, it could not halt the blood-shaped entity formed by the National Master's life force, nor could it withstand the heavenly ox unleashed by Wang Lin's divine ability. Amid resounding roars, it seemed the nether Tao venerable was on the verge of collapse. But then, a soul-piercing roar echoed between heaven and earth, resonating from within the nether Tao venerable's skeletal form. I will not accept this. As this divine thought rang out, two golden flames blazed in the hollow sockets of the nether Tao venerable's skull. In the blink of an eye, those flames began to flicker and fade. Cracks split his bony frame, and in an instant, his body shattered and collapsed. At the very moment his entire skeleton disintegrated, an indescribable shockwave erupted from where he stood, sweeping violently outward. The sheer force of it struck Wang Lin with an overwhelming sense of mortal danger. Not far away, the National Master's dim eyes suddenly gleamed with brilliance, revealing a barely concealed excitement. Spending the last of his life force, his body exploded as foretold by his vow, shattering into fragments. From the debris, a ghostly light streaked forth, shooting straight toward the nether Tao venerable.